Tourism is Hawaii's #1 industry, and we are very grateful to have visitors come from all over the world to enjoy our beaches and the rest of our natural resources. However, the marine environments around an island are very fragile, and so the more visitors that we have, the more of an impact they have on all of our beaches.
We started noticing declines in coral reefs around 1980, 1985, which is about the same time that personal care products like sunscreen lotion were used prominently by tourists going to these beaches and visiting these coral reefs. What we're doing is we're looking at oxybenzone, a common UV chemical found in many sunscreen lotions and aerosol sprays. This is pure oxybenzone, and it's about 20 drops. Oxybenzone can cause an adverse effect in coral at 62 parts per trillion. That is equivalent to 1 drop of water in 6.5 Olympic-sized swimming pools. So you don't need a lot to cause a lot of damage.
So we're here at Waikiki Beach, and I'm about to take a water sample to test it for sunscreen chemicals. The last time I took water samples, there was really high concentrations, twice as much as what is known to be harmful to coral. Certain times of the day, you can actually see the sunscreen on the surface of the water. I could actually smell and taste the chemicals in the air.
Even worse than the sunscreen lotion is the aerosol product because it travels.
When it's windy and you spray someone, that spray goes all over the place and gets in other people's lungs. So it's just a matter of courtesy to other folks that if you're going to choose a sunscreen, it's better to choose one that you rub on than a spray.
You're also leaving a residue. The ocean waves come in, they wash the sand, and they take the residual aerosol spray out into the ocean as well.
The researchers that offered this revolutionary paper, they in the lab have seen that these compounds are lethal to coral larvae. It also sterilizes them and it bleaches them at a lower temperature by 10 degrees. What that means is that if we lose a coral to bleaching or if it's damaged by hot water just from climate change, it can't recover.
What is coral?
It's an animal, like a sponge animal.
Living plants in the water, in the ocean?
Kind of a hard animal that lives on rocks.
People think that they're rocks. They pick up a piece of coral on the ground and they think it's a rock, but no, it's like that was an animal.
Corals are animals. They actually have a basic immune system that is a lot like humans. They react when they're being stressed out. They're white, they're stressed. It's a lot like us when we're sick. We're pale and we're not as healthy, and that's what's happening to the coral. I've worked the last nearly decade on coral health and disease. I never thought in my lifetime I would see reefs just completely wiped out by bleaching. The level of alarm that I have now is higher than I thought it would ever be. When we take away the reefs, we take away the habitat that's housing thousands of organisms. We're talking about an ecosystem that takes up a small percentage of the globe. Yet, it's rivaling rainforests in the amount of oxygen it's producing and carbon it's fixing. I mean, these are literally some of the most productive ecosystems on the planet. We lose those reefs, we lose a large amount of income from tourism, from biomedical products, from coastal protection, and really importantly to communities, from food.
You know, you think about it, I'm putting a chemical on my body and it's washing off into the ocean just so that I can have fun. And I thought there was something wrong with not caring about a pollutant that's going into my playground. I learned that non-nano zinc oxide is the safest active ingredient to be used in a sunscreen.
What we put on our skin, it's going to wash off and it flows into the ocean, whether you're in the middle of the US and the mainland or you're here living right next to the reef.
Sewage is the biggest source of sunscreen chemical pollutants anywhere. 20 minutes after you put a sunscreen lotion on your skin, we can detect it in your urine. When you flush the toilet, all of that goes straight into sewage, out into a river, and then out into the sea. Those chemicals then accumulate in aquatic organisms such as fish, clams, oysters. It will contaminate coral reefs, seagrass beds, kelp forests, and what have you. Oxybenzone is a toxicant. It can cause harm to humans, it can cause harm to mammals, it causes harm to fish at particular concentrations. Oxybenzone is an endocrine disruptor in that it is like estrogen. It can cause male fish to become feminized, meaning it will produce female gonads, even though it's supposedly a male. Mother dolphins are exposed all the time to oxybenzone because it's there polluting the marine environment. And when the mother dolphins breastfeed, oxybenzone that it's contaminating the mother passes on to the baby. Oxybenzone will also accumulate in your fat tissues and can transfer from the mother to the infant, which who knows what effect it will have on the development of that child.
We don't even know the long-term effects some of these chemicals might have on the human body. One can make a hypothesis that if a chemical is hurting coral larvae in our coral, that chemical could have a negative impact if it's on a human body or someone's skin for X amount of time. We really just don't know.
It's mostly found in sunscreen lotions, but it can also be found in lip balms. Some shampoos will have it, moisturizers, even foundations. It would be in the label of the active ingredients of what that sun protection factor is.
Avobenzone, octocrylene, and oxybenzone.
Right now, corals are having problems internationally, and one that we can deal with through legislation is chemicals that are in sunscreens. I've introduced a bill to ban the sale of oxybenzone in the state of Hawaii. And if passed, Hawaii will become the first state in the nation to do so.
We have these global stressors that in the foreseeable future, they're not going away. Temperature is rising. We have increased CO2, ocean acidification. And it's overwhelming. But there's the local stressors. And if we can minimize those, we give the corals a far greater capacity to respond, adapt, and survive. So what's the easiest thing you control? Don't put sunscreens that have harmful chemicals on them. You can just put on a long sleeve rash guard. You can use lotions that don't have that same impact. There's little decisions like that that if we all do, collectively is going to help this environment.
Super simple, easy to do, and keep it clean, keep the ocean clean. That's the point.